And then once you figure out what you're doing and you've worked through it and you've seen that trial and error, it's not working, it is working long enough, then it really does make a big difference to start to understand how some of those things start to work together versus overcomplicating and having to understand every little thing up front. So that would be something that, hearing that professional talk today, there were moments that I was like, huh? And, I have advanced degrees in the topic. And so it's, you can definitely, if you've been coaching for a while and you're on that side of the spectrum and you're listening to our podcast, maybe take some time if you ever see people's eyes glaze over and just check in with them, which is a great debriefing technique to say, what are you taking from that? Or how did that come across? Or just making sure that there's a check for learning in there. So that way they're not left trying to stack confusion on top of confusion.
Yeah, and we're talking today health, wellness, again, nutrition, fitness coaching. So the job out of the gates is how do we find 25 to 30 people that will pay us $350 to $400 a month to help them solve their problem. And that's just the reality. We all have our own audience. We all have people that are going to be attracted to us. We have people that are going to be repelled from us. And all of those things are good. When we look at the numbers, and again, I saw somewhere 120,000 coaches, 8 billion people in the world. You do the math and go ahead. Yeah. All right, some people too old, some people too young, some people are already motivated, all these things. Even 25% of 8 billion people is still 2 billion people. With 100-ish, let's say 100,000 coaches, we actually really only need like 3 or 4 million people in the world to be serviced. Now you're getting 30, 40 clients, no problem. It's not it's too crowded situation. It's you're just not talking clearly to the people that you need to, and you don't have a simple enough process to articulate it in a simple way that you can help them.
Yeah.
Everybody in this world will spend $100 a week for you to solve their health problem.
Yeah.
Simple and easy. If they don't have to think about it, they just show up, they do the thing, right? So you were talking about the idea that there's this nuance and this nuance and this nuance. Solve it for 80 to 90% of the people that come in the door. And find those 10 to 20% that you can go jam and just be a nerd on and just have the extra fun going crazy on the programming and fill that need. But your desire to overcomplicate it and feel more important, that's what it is. It's I'm so important, I'm so smart, I have to make it really hard. Okay, cool. If you hate your business right now or it's too complicated or it can't grow, literally you built that. It's your fault, right? That's just the thing, and you need to also understand that. For me in my business, it's a situation where I know what I want to do. 5, 6 clients is all I'm interested in. I'm sacrificing the idea of growth and scale. I'm good with that. But know it, because you can't have this really high touch 4 hours a week of delivery per client situation and scale it to be 100K months.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work.
Absolutely. Well, and I think, the thing that we're assuming is that people understand in the background is that everyone has to deal with a set of constraints and things that are performance limitations, right? If you're thinking about running fast, some of the performance limitations, let's say you're running on a track and you're trying to run a mile as fast as you can. If the track is made of rubber, if it's made of, concrete, if it's made of turf, all those things will then change your performance. If it's slick and it's wet, maybe you slip. And so when we think about some of the constraints that we're offering here, if you give, and I will use this analogy because I don't know shit about really how to build stuff, and you came over and you're like, hey, listen, this is how we're going to change our electrical shit. I'm like, okay. We were trying to wire up the chandelier, and I had, obviously I almost died because I shocked myself a couple times, which is why I left it like that for a couple weeks, like a wild savage. And, had someone showed me an entire chest of tools, I'd be like, okay, that's a fun one. What's that one called? And I think that having a robust understanding when I'm just trying to fix a simple light fixture, explaining every single tool and every single purpose and every single potential use case is just an overwhelming inundation of things that we just don't need, frankly. And this is why we talk about problem awareness continuum earlier on, and I think season 2. So if you haven't listened to that one, you definitely want to smash that subscribe button and hit that episode up, because it makes so much sense from offering people and holding your tongue long enough for people to get interested in what you have to say. And I think when it comes to complexity, we're dealing with these performance constraints of giving the person the tool that they need to solve the problem they're dealing with that they think is most important versus the stuff that we know as experts in our fields, whether it's coaching, whether it's business, whether it's peptides, anything along those lines. If we don't want to give them the weather forecast for 7 years from now because it's not even relevant for what we're going to wear today,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, and it's some usable examples, let's say,
Yeah.
in your business, right? So you and I first met, we were early in our relationship, and I've referenced this before. And I'm like, hey, should I focus more on eating rice or sweet potatoes? Guess what? It doesn't matter. Like, it really doesn't matter. They're carbs, okay? That's really about it. When we're at the phase where, like, micronutrients matter, there's some more potato nutrients in
Yep.
the potato. But beyond that, it didn't matter, especially with what my primary goals were.
Yeah.
So when we think about certain things, like, okay, this guy's got a mental issue and he doesn't want to eat carbs. Okay, well, how do we break him through that? Well, I'm just going to make him eat gallons of powdered sugar when he's running a race. He'll end up doing a lot better and be like, oh, carbs aren't bad. So thinking of your process,
Yeah.
the common places to start are going to be probably get moving more or do a certain type of workout routine, whatever it might be. Having your basic routine that's templated out,
Yeah.
80 to 90% is going to be used all the time, and make the minor modifications where needed, so injury or whatever,
Yeah.
but get them to start to do the thing. On the nutrition and kind of, wellness side of things, it's probably going to be like sleep, water, tracking are probably going to be the basic things out of the gates. You don't need to overcomplicate that. When we think about the business side of it,